I don't remember when it was, but I was like, oh, she was an emo kid. I maybe it was
Yeah.
like maybe you posted, it might have been when you posted about being at a Dance Gavin Dance show or something like that. I don't remember, but tell us about that side of you for anybody who may not be familiar.
Yeah. So music was actually like a really big part of my life growing up, just as a fan, not as I'm not a musician or talented or inclined in that in any way. But I grew up going to hardcore shows. I was a big fan of like post-hardcore and like all that fucking like mall emo shit, like MySpace shit that like seems to be the biggest thing for like 4 years and then disappeared.
Uh-huh.
Although I still listen to it, it's still comfort food for me. It's not as if those bands aren't on my Spotify right now. Um, and then also, it's been really interesting doing political commentary because what I've noticed is that the music industry is so obviously stifling of any
Yeah.
political opinions that aren't in line with like mainstream narrative, even for bands that aren't mainstream or haven't achieved mainstream success, what
Yes.
I've noticed, which is so crazy. So for
Yeah, it's
whatever
like if
reason,
you don't parrot basically the mainstream Democrat talking points, there's no room for you in the alternative music scene, which is bizarre to
yeah,
me.
yeah, which is crazy because, I think when people also a big like punk fan and like when people think of that entire world lifestyle genre, it doesn't necessarily go hand in hand, I think, with the perspective of like being stifling of free thought and all that. But what I've noticed is
Simping
kind
for
of
the
half.
president.
Right. Like,
Like that's punk now.
right. Like, so I grew up and I definitely had like a against me, no effects, anti-flag phase. And like what's been really they're so entitled to their own opinions and like
Yeah, of course.
I run my mouth every day and like the shit I say doesn't translate to so many people. And so it goes both ways. But like it's been interesting because like Laura Jane Grace is like the lead singer of
Uh-huh.
Against Me and she came out as trans.
One
Like,
of the first trans people I was aware of,
yeah,
her and Mina from Life of Agony were probably the two first trans people I ever was aware of.
right. Which is like when she came out, I thought it was so fucking cool. And it was right before I came out. So in some ways it kind of like helped me, not become trans because you don't become trans by seeing another trans person, but you know, gave me a little bit of a okay, other
Mm-hmm.
people are doing this, and an artist that I really enjoy is doing this. Um, and a couple years back, she like retweeted something really disgusting about me, like hateful, and I was like, damn, that sucks. But I think, but I think that that's almost more of just like a being a public figure thing,
Yeah.
But and then I went to an anti-flag show. What was it? Maybe like a year ago,
Well, that's
and
bold.
right. Uh, and they were doing like some, pro-vaccine rant on stage. And I'm just like, they have criticized Big Pharma before. And the idea that
Yeah.
they're on board with medical tyranny, we don't have to get so deep into that in my own opinion, but I'm against it. And that was less than amazing to be around. But at the same time, I still enjoy all of their music and I still love them. And then you mentioned Dance Gavin Dance. Funny, for whatever reason, I became friends with like multiple people in that band. Unfortunately, the person I met all of them through was Tim, who died. And he was actually like a really good friend of mine. And I like Tillian, hung out with him a few times since then as well. So yeah, I'm kind of loosely involved in like that world, and people don't really know that because I don't have a lot of space to talk about that. But yeah.
So who would you say if you gave us like your top five, 2000s post-hardcore, screamo, whatever
Ooh.
bands, what's your top five?
Oh shit.
Just know that
Five.
whatever you
A day to
say,
remember. Oh, sorry.
whatever you say, people are going to say it's a terrible list and it's all wrong and you have awful taste. So you
Oh,
can't
for
answer this
sure.
question correctly.
Oh, for sure. Top five. I would say I'm going to rank it by like the bands that occupied sort of the most space around me, not necessarily like my playlist, but like my friends who were in that shit. A Day to Remember was obviously like a huge force in that little world. I would say Dance Gavin Dance. I mean, they still do so well now, and I'm not even saying
Mm-hmm.
that just because I, am friends with them. It's they still do so well. Uh, Maybe like Senses Fail,
Okay.
fucking mm, Paramore's not like post-hardcore.
Close enough.
It's all sort of relative.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, what is that for?
I mean, you can go more than
Under
5 if you want.
Oath,
Yeah. Okay.
Under Oath. Yeah, all those bands. I still love all of them and they still are in my rotation.